Hare Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om 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 Jnanatimandasya Gnana Salakya Chakshurim Militam Jnana Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya-manodastam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kalamayam Dadati Swaparantikam. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta-vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. When Srila Prabhupada translated his Bhagavad-gita, he did so and called it the Bhagavad-gita as it is. Prior to that, Advaita Acharya had once made an attempt to explain the Bhagavad-gita. It says Gita Satyarapat, or which is the true explanation of the Bhagavad-gita, or Bhagavad-gita as it is. So Srila Prabhupada apparently took inspiration from Advaita Acharya and could see the need to give the meaning of the Gita according to Krishna's intentions. One may read the Bhagavad-gita in so many ways, but to understand the Bhagavad-gita according to Krishna's intentions is different. Like for example, in the 6th chapter of the Gita, we find what is sometimes known as the yoga ladder. And the yoga ladder is basically describing various types of yoga and describes a hierarchy within these types of yogas, and ultimately puts bhakti yoga on top of the ladder, with karma yoga, or taking the activities that one likes to do and connecting those with Krishna. Then once one takes up a life of yoga, a life of connecting with the Supreme, but in karma yoga one keeps his personal desire also as part of the equation. In other words, we're looking for the situation where we can combine both Krishna's desire and our own desire. And when we can bring these two together, then that's success. So that's not so easy, karma yoga. Jnana yoga is different. It is where we become philosophical about life and are seeing the temporary nature of everything that is here in this world, and therefore when we start to question what is actually real, like what is real, what relationships are real. Many people came into our life, and many of these people have now gone from our life. How real were the relationship with these people? You get people who go to some old school reunion after 30 years and they meet everybody there. Gosh, Jesus, that what became of you? How real are these relationships? Very temporary. Yes, we're meeting here today. How real are the relationships when we meet so short? Will you remember after 20 years even what I looked like? If you've never seen the picture and you see me today for the first time, it will be hard. Even after 3 weeks, it might be hard to pick me out of a line of 7, all lined up, all with glasses. Which one is it? That's the one. He pointed the gun at me. But such identification processes are difficult. So how real are so many relationships? Srimad Bhagavatam takes it a step further and says, how real are the relationships between parents and their children? Well, they're pretty real, right? Our child, the DNA proves it, no, that's definitely real. Yeah, but Bhagavatam points out that we are eternal souls who live in this world, life after life. Then how many fathers, how many mothers have we already had? How many births have we had? It said 2 souls come together like 2 particles of dust. 2 particles of dust that are floating in the sky. Sometimes the sunlight comes in and you see all these dust particles, lots of them, floating in the sky. And then they float together for a moment. 2 dust particles. And that's as long as 2 souls float together. And then, shoo. So, yeah, that knocks a lot of things out, isn't it? Bye-bye soulmate. Bye-bye, sorry about that. Bye-bye all these things. Bye-bye, this is my own flesh and blood. Just somehow or other, by a karmic arrangement, by having some common karma, we have the situation where one person becomes the parent of another. And this is, these are my parents. My parents. We are, all one in one sense. Yeah, that's just the genes. Genetically connected, but on a spiritual platform, no. On a spiritual platform, we are connected to all living beings, equally so. Actually, on a spiritual, so it's not that with this I have just destroyed all relationships, effectively. And now you can go home, feeling totally destroyed, no more relationships. That's all false. There you go. Forget it. No, rather the opposite. We are equally close to all the dust particles. We're equally connected with every soul. And we are all soulmates. We are all close because we are all connected to Krishna. And we're all originally ecstatic living beings who temporarily became a little bit covered over and some of the ecstasy has disappeared now. But actually we are eternally Sat-Chit-Anand, eternally ecstatic and full of knowledge. That is our position. And so is every living being. And on that platform, every living being is intimately related with all living beings, intimately related with one another, and also intimately related with Krishna, which is the essence of all. So this understanding is bhakti. When this understanding is there, then why would we have separate desires from Krishna? If all these separate relationships with people, with places, with things, the place of our birth, our race, our our language, such a beautiful language. Like, I have the good fortune that this life I woke up with Dutch, which is so beautiful. Ach, toch, nou zeg, hoe gaat het? It is like a very poetic language known in the world for its great, its wonderful flowing sounds. What can I say? But somehow or other, we identify with the culture of our birth, but that is false. Boma Ichati, that is not relating to our real self. That is all our external self, a false self. That is not our true self. Our true self is that we are eternal spirit souls. And all the roles that we play here in this world are roles played on a stage. Male, female, and so on. All roles played on a stage. Just we play a part and we identify with it. We are actors that have forgotten that we are actors. I mean, it happens sometimes. Some actor identifies so much with the part that they have to take him to the funny farm for a while. And what can be said? For some rest. So we'll get it back together. Yes, so we have somehow or other, we're living with this false identification. So Jnana Yoga is the first attempt to cut this false identification. But yet, it is not enough. Vijnana Yoga is the level where we begin to understand our true relationship with Krishna. Then there's still more advanced levels where we begin to fully realize that relationship with Krishna. Because understanding that Krishna is the Supreme and understanding that we are His eternal servant is only the beginning. That's where it starts. Then we have to invest in that relationship, in service, in love. And eventually that relationship should just become, it virtually speaking is the one relationship that takes over. Bhishmadev explains there's no room for anything else. It's like just Krishna. That relationship with Krishna is become the one relationship. But of course, we also have relationships with all devotees and with all living beings. But always with Krishna in the center, because that becomes everything in one's life, because one sees everything is connected with Krishna. Everything has only one purpose, the satisfaction of Krishna. There is no other reason why anything exists than for the satisfaction of Krishna. There's no reason to do anything but for the satisfaction of Krishna. Now it can be indirect or direct. Right? All right, I had a nice warm blanket last night, and that was good, so that I didn't wake up with pneumonia, so that I can still continue to serve Krishna. So that was an indirect thing. Warm blanket, good idea in Cape Town, I reckon. This is the sort of thing you want to have here. Nice, cozy, warm blanket. Yes. So, indirect engaging things in the service of Krishna to maintain ourselves. Now with there, can one go too far? Maybe, yeah. Is that a great danger? Say, indirectly, I need a Mercedes for Krishna, so that I'm just drive a little more comfortable so I can serve better. Or maybe a Mercedes is really getting too austere. No, really, I had one for the last 20 years, but I guess I'm outgrowing it, It's getting too austere. I thought I need like maybe a jaguar for a change. Yeah, one can, of course, go on and on and on. And what? And what if someone has a jaguar? Oh my, I mean, the expensive one, you know, the big model. What if you have one of those? You know, you've seen it in the magazine. What about it? What if you have one of those? Would that be an obstacle? Not a very serious one, you know. Would you have to take birth again over a jaguar? It's possible. It's possible that you get so attached to it that you have to work in a garage your next life. It could happen, but it's not necessarily the case. If you are greatly absorbed in Krishna's service, then such things are negligible. Negligible. Doesn't really matter so much. If the relationship with Krishna is deep, then whether you drive a Jaguar or, I don't know, a Toyota or something more common, a Taz, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's all, can all be. This is just material. So material things are not so significant. But in general, we do not overextend ourselves on the material plane to keep away distraction from Krishna. Why would we be distracted? But if you can use for Krishna, use it all. Use it. This is our spirit. Just as we looked at Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and we saw that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was a magistrate. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was a householder. And in one sense, not living as renounced as someone like Gaura Das Babaji. Gaura Das Babaji would have no fixed residence, would pick up clothes that were left over from at the burning ghat, some cloth that had been used in the corpse, and transporting the corpses or covering the corpses, whatever was not burned, he would pick it up, wash it, and use it. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur had a house, had conveyance, had a certain level of comfort. But that was totally not essential. That was not a spiritual blockade. No. He could simply, he was totally absorbed in chanting the holy name, absorbed in remembering Krishna. When we go to Bangladesh, which is part of the cultural heritage of this movement, Bangladesh is probably known as one of the poorest countries in the world, but it is not so commonly known as part of the heritage of the movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Basically what they did, they took our cultural area, the area of Gouda, and cut it in half, bang, in 1947 when they made the partition. And with it, a whole part of our history went to Bangladesh. So, when we go to Bangladesh, we can visit various places, the birth site of Advaita Acharya, or the birth site of Srivas Thakur, or we can go to Chittagong. And just near Chittagong is the residence of Pundarik Vijayanidhi. And Pundarik Vijayanidhi is described in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Pundarik Vijayanidhi was very famous because Pundarik Vijayanidhi is an elder. Actually, it is described by Murari Gupta how Pundarik Vijayanidhi was amongst the first Vaishnavas, Gaudiya Vaishnavas, who settled in Navadvip. And it is said that Pundarik Vijayanidhi was a disciple of Madhavendra Puri. So it said Pundarik Vijayanidhi was also known as Prem Nidhi. one who is totally absorbed in Krishna praying. And that Pundarik Vijanini was a very, very exalted personality who then was honored and worshipped by many. So Pundarik Vijanini would sometimes travel from Bangladesh to Navadvip and then go back to Bangladesh, or to East Bengal as it was at the time. So he came from East Bengal to Navadvip. And then at the time, Gadadhar had heard about the glories of Pundarik Vijanini. So Gadadhar wanted to see Pundarik Vijanini. It's like, I heard that he is such a great Vaishnava, that he's so filled with love of God. I'd like to meet that Vaishnava. My heart is yearning to meet him. And then they came, and then Pundarik was seated on an elevated seat with big cushions. There were 2 water pots there next to him. There was incense billowing next to him. He had long hair, well coiffured, and he had, he had silken clothes and rings on, not one, but a whole bunch of rings on his fingers. And in this way, Pundarik was just seated there and just, and Kanana Swami was like, oh, is this the great devotee? And he thought, my God, a hoax. So Gadadhar's expression was a little bit reserved when he saw Pundarik. And Mukunda, who had actually taken Gadadhar there, Mukunda could see what Gadadhar was going through, what he thought. Then Mukunda, who happened to be from the same village as Pundarik Vijanini, also from East Bengal. He knew him very well. So Mukunda, then he began to sing. And when Mukunda began to sing, everyone was quiet. Because Mukunda could really sing with so much heart and a beautiful melodious voice. And then Mukunda began to sing a song about Putana. Now we remember Putana. Putana in Krishna's pastimes, a witch who smeared poison on her breast and came, a lovely kuchi, oh little baby, drink some milk. Poison? Yes. Trying to kill the child, but Krishna drank the milk, Krishna drank the poison, and Krishna also took her prana, her life energy, and that didn't do Putana good, so end of Putana. Anyway, leaving that for what it is today. So yes, Putana. So Mukunda begins to sing about Putana, and he begins to describe how Krishna dealt with Putana. She came as a witch. She came to drink his blood, and she offered him milk with poison. And the child sucked it, and then he held on to her breast and squeezed hard and just sucked the life air from her. And she took a gigantic form, but to no avail, she died. But then, because she made an offering of milk, Krishna simply accepted the offering of milk, which was something good, overlooked the poison. He overlooked the poison and just accepted that service. She has offered me milk, therefore she will be my mother. And so Putana was promoted to the eternal position of a mother, a nurse of Krishna, a motherly person in the eternal entourage of Krishna in the spiritual world. So here Mukunda is singing that song, And as he sings the song, I will not enact this pastime because I'm going to do damage here. But basically, I'll just use my arms, but even there I have to be careful. It's hard to tell the story without getting dramatic, but basically Pundarik, when he heard this, how Putana got this amazing mercy, he threw his arms in all directions, his legs shot out and threw over everything, and everything fell in all directions, and the water pots don't move. I'm warning you. If you mess around, you're in trouble. So the water pots, they fell on the ground and splashed there. The incense messed up with it on the ground, and his beautiful hair got totally messed up. Then he fell on the ground in the water, rolled through it with his silk, and I mean the mess that he made of himself was like something else. Everyone looked at like, wow, that's love of God, I mean, he just totally became oblivious to his the external world. And although he has all this opulence, he doesn't care at all. He doesn't care about his silks. He doesn't care about his throne and his billowing water pots and all these things. And then it was found out that Pundarik Vijayanidhi, that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would call him Father. Father. Why would he call him Father? There our Kavi Karnapur has helped us to understand that he called him Father because in the pastimes of Krishna, Pundarik Vijayanidhi was Maharaj Vrishabhanu, the father of Srimati Radharani, who was a king and lived in an opulence, and therefore apparently the same tendencies were still there now, sort of towards royalty. But all that, then, anyway, Gadadhar understood that Pundarik was deeply, deeply attached to Krishna. So this is the essence. Karma yoga, yes, very good. Let's take the things of this world, engage them in the service of Krishna. Jnana yoga, yes, let's look at the temporary nature of this world and understand that the relationships are not real. Bhakti yoga, let us just appreciate how amazing Krishna is. Let us just appreciate everything about Krishna is wonderful. There's nothing that is not wonderful about Krishna. And especially if we really look at it, that which touches us the most is how Krishna gives himself. He gives himself. It's not a one-sided relationship. Krishna gives himself to his devotee with full devotion. Sadhanam hridiyam mayam, sadhanam hridiyam tvaham, matanyati najatani, aham devya managapi. Krishna is fully dedicated to his devotee. He always keeps his devotee in his heart, and the devotee always keeps Krishna in the heart. So now it gets more interesting. It's not, here is God. Yes, he's the Almighty. Oh yes, as he is omnipotent, omniscient. He has all these divine qualities. But now we are appreciating that he's not distant, that he's not far and beyond, but that he's very close and intimate, and that he cares about every living being, and that he enters into an active, loving relationship with every devotee. That Krishna shows. And Krishna shows that he cares. He cares for every living being. And when he saw that Putana Putana offered, made a genuine offering to him. Milk. Mother's milk. That's something. That's an acceptable offering. Yes. And then, okay, some poison as well. That's insignificant. It's just poison. Who cares about poison? Krishna doesn't care about poison. Poison can't affect him. Poison doesn't touch him. That's what he showed. So now we look at the nature of bhakti. How in bhakti we are acting in devotion. We are acting, we're expressing our love. We're seeing how Krishna is wonderful and are therefore deciding to make offerings. Oh, that hunchbacked lady, she would make very nice perfumed ointments for Kamsa. They were like to add a nice fragrance, a nice smell, different creams and things for King Kamsa. But when she saw Krishna, then she decided, no, I will not offer them to Kamsa. I will offer them to Krishna. Understanding that, when you have something really nice, are you going to just sit there with it all by yourself? Now you have the nicest thing you ever had. You got it. And then you sit there all by yourself. I'm sitting by myself, I've got it. The nicest thing. Oh, how nice. Here, that I have this now. This is the nicest thing. No. You want to share. You naturally want to share. Hey, now I have the nicest thing. Now I want to share this with people, this experience. How then people, oh yeah, wow, that's really nice. Wow, I'm turning green. And just looking at it, wow, that's nice. Sharing whatever nice thing we have, that is natural. So, in this way, the devotees, they naturally become very open. They are not closed. They don't close themselves off from everyone else. They rather become open and share. And whatever they offer, yes, they want to offer to Krishna. So they want to give the best to the best. They'll give the best to the best. Who else to give it to? You have something great. Well, then you think, like, who will I share this with? Not with its sour man who lives next door. Nah, not sharing, nothing with him. Okay, who to share? With the president of the nation? No, sorry. Nice, but no. With your boss at work? Well, maybe a piece of cake sometimes, but the best thing you wouldn't share with your boss. Share with somebody closer. With somebody closer. Anyway, the most worthy person to share anything with is Krishna. So this is the realization in bhakti. He's the best person to turn to. And in this way, Krishna becomes the number one person to turn to. So it's no longer, well, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the origin of everything. He's the cause of all causes. He has no other cause than himself. He is therefore Asamurdva, one without a second. He also is infallible, yes. And he has unlimited forms. He is the oldest personality, and therefore I worship him. One time I was going around the room and I asked people what they found the most attractive about Krishna. And different people gave different answers. Someone said because of the flute, someone said because of his extraordinary beauty, someone said because of his pastime. And one person said, because he's the cause of the effect. And you're like, wow, that was Gyan. That was the philosopher in action, because he's the cause of the effect. That's very ecstatic. So now what I find the most attractive about Krishna is that he is the heart of Krishna. The heart of Krishna. That God has a heart. That I find especially touching. And that's what is the essence of bhakti, to recognize that he has a heart. And that is what made Pundarik Vijayamnidhi jump off his throne, right? That he recognized the heart of the Lord. Then he lost it. Then he rolled over the ground. That I find the most attractive in Krishna. But that same heart expresses itself in his physical appearance, in everything he does. Therefore, everything is wonderful about Krishna. But if you really look, it's the heart of Krishna. That is the essence. So yes, and that heart of Krishna, filled with love for every living being, is inviting love, is inviting reciprocation. So that is bhakti. It's a totally different worldview. The modern worldview that we are left with after 150 years of industrial revolution is a world that has been stripped of any sentient aspect, of any feeling. It is a mechanistic world. Here there are planets rotating, and the magnetic fields and various factors are interaction and are creating a balance in the universe. Due to friction, some things enter into the atmosphere, and chunks of hot nebula then manifesting, but eventually cool down and turn into planets, and satellites are providing facility for phones to on these planets. Anyway, in that whole universe, it all looks like a big mechanistic machine. And if a meteorite decides to head for Earth, that can happen. And what are we going to do about it? I mean, watch it with telescopes. But what if we don't? So they called the headquarters of the telescopic services, whatever they're called, and he said, well, what if a meteorite is heading for Earth? A big one that can destroy the whole planet. Can you warn us? Said actually with our telescopes, including Hubble, we only cover a very small portion of the sky, so the chance is rather small that we would see it. And if we would see it, we would probably see it only minutes before it would hit. Right. What to do now? They called the military. This is TV. This is on TV program. Then they called the military. So somebody big in the military said, well, this meteorite's coming, and we know it's coming to Earth, and we sort of see it coming. Can you shoot it out of the sky? And the general said, well, imagine you're standing at a football field, and someone is at the back, near the goal, is shooting a bullet straight across the field, right, to the other side. You have another gun, and you stand on the middle line on the side, and now you have to shoot that bullet out of the sky. Can you do it? So it's like, well, everything is possible, but it may be tough. He said, it's something like that. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, what if a meteorite comes down to its planet Earth? Oh my God, what we're going to do? Who will save it? And then we look at a totally different world model. A world model where there is Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and who has his representatives, his agents, who are there on all levels in universal affairs, controlling things according to his desire and direction. And according to piety of a person, nature behaves in a particular way. We have discovered many laws. Laws of gravity is one of them. But we have not discovered anabhavanti bhutani parjanyat anasambhava, that rain comes from sacrifice. And that therefore nature behaves according to the behavior of man. That we missed. That we missed. Never thought of that. But that is the fact. So when one behaves in service to Krishna, then the material circumstance will adjust. Either the demigods, like they said to Prabhupada in the 70s, they spoke about the possibility of a nuclear war because there was a lot of tension at the time, and said, what will we do? And then, said, Krishna will save us. Yes, but Prabhupada, even if we survive the bomb, even then the radioactive fallout will get us. Oh, what are we going to do now? What are we going to do now? It is, yes, it is a fact. The radioactive fallout. Will it get us? Well, I was speaking with our Dhruva, who used to be a president in this temple, and he worked at Coburg. And one time he's driving me to the airport, and then I cross-examined him. And I said, so, now I want to know the truth, What are you guys doing with the radioactive waste? I said, you have a lot more than is legally allowed. What are you doing with it? He said, we dump it in the ocean. I said, yeah. I said, but isn't that being controlled? He said, we manipulate the books. He's an American also, it shouldn't be a problem. But yeah, these things are going on. Germany has 2 nuclear power plants only, not so many. And they have 2,000 illegal dumping sites. France has 55 nuclear power plants. So how many illegal dumping sites they have? South Africa has 1. What are they doing with the waste? Yeah, throw in the ocean. And what you cannot throw in the ocean, you put it somewhere in the mountains. Of course, you wouldn't drive too far away, would you? Oh, jeez. Gosh. What are we going to do with the radioactive fallout if a bomb falls on our head? Will we all die anyway after from that? Prabhupada said, no, that's okay. The demigods can adjust it. So the agents of Krishna can just adjust the radioactivity like that. Insignificant thing. When we are living in a loving relationship with Krishna, Krishna will provide, Krishna will care. And what if we die anyway? What if the devotee dies? Don't worry. Krishna may or may not protect the body, because bodies have to die. But Krishna will always protect the soul. So no anxiety. So this is the point where in devotional service we appreciate the loving nature of Krishna, the loving nature of the universe, the loving nature of the world where we live in. And suddenly all the anxiety is gone, Okay. See that sky up there, folks? Look at the clouds. Okay, some meteorite might just come there. You don't see them in the day. So what if they're coming down and we don't see? Don't worry. Krishna's watching over us. And his agents as well. So, and even if we would all die, well, then, then it must have been our time. But then, those who are in a loving relationship with Krishna are always protected. Always protected. So, Masucha, says Krishna, don't worry. Don't worry. Sarvadharma Prijaya. Just surrender unto me. I will free you from all this trouble. From all. These are all sinful reactions. One man came and said, what about the reptilians? Oh, the Nagas. Yeah, we know them. They live on lower planetary systems below planet Earth. But in great opulence, but unfortunately no spiritual concept at all. Yes, they have highly evolved technological development, higher than we have. But don't worry, because they can only attack, only touch sinful personalities. I've always taken pleasure in these things. When I was married, I once told my former wife ghost stories at midnight. The whole thing, full color, right? I was telling all these horrible stories, and she was like really like freaking out, and I was enjoying it like anything. And then suddenly someone banged on the door. And I had a heart attack. Yeah. But that's off to the side. The essence is that we're living in a close relationship with Krishna, and that is ultimately our... And when that conviction is there, we can be fearless, totally fearless. And that is what we see in Prabhupada, totally fearless, abhayam. So to be really fearless, that is most amazing, a most amazing quality. That can only be there in someone who lives in a loving relationship with Krishna. Thank you very much. Any questions or comments? It's okay.
We're practicing devotional service and trying to develop a relationship, but still fear comes.
We're practicing devotional service, trying to develop a relationship, but still fear comes. How to get rid of the fear. Well, that's the intermediate stage, right? The intermediate stage is we have the knowledge and we are trying to realize it, try to bring it from theoretical understanding, something we sort of philosophically accept, to something which becomes realized within the heart. And in the in-between stage, we're still facing fear, and that's okay. We just go on. We just go on investing in that relationship with Krishna, knowing that by constant investment in that relationship, by making offerings to Krishna, and by pleasing Krishna, by offering our whole life to Krishna, by giving whatever energy, whatever possessions, whatever intelligence, whatever words we have in the service of Krishna, then we know that we'll become fearless. You cannot become fearless by calming yourself down. I'm not afraid. Yeah, not at all. I'm totally calm. Yeah. That's how I was with the ghost story I was talking about. Until someone banged on the door. It was a flat. And someone was banging on the door. And I'll never know why. But exactly at midnight. Who knows? Maybe it wasn't. Like sometimes I was sleeping in these old castles in Europe, because we have a few. And then nobody lives there anymore. And then I would be all alone in this old castle at night. Well, I wasn't sleeping so well. Yeah. So fear may be there, but at least we take shelter of Krishna. So when I felt too uncomfortable, then at one point I put an endless chanting of Hare Krishna, Prabhupada chanting Hare Krishna on my phone. So in that way, we take shelter. We just take shelter. When we experience fear, take shelter of Krishna, take shelter of Prabhupada. Then we'll overcome that fear.
Is it that Putana's position was always as a nurse of Krishna?
There was a door, and then I missed. Putana's position is already.
Was it that Putana's position was always as a nurse of Krishna, or was it that she only attained, moved from a different constitutional position?
As Prabhupada explains, Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem Sadhya Kamunai Shravanani Sudha Chitta Kari Udai, that one's original position is being revived, generally speaking. Right? So the spiritual body is already there. In most cases, it is an awakening of a spiritual identity. However, Prabhupada also explains, when the question, is it possible to change the spiritual body? Would it be possible? And Prabhupada said, yes, but why would you want to? And there's a whole discussion with Hansadutta on the topic, and Hansadutta keeps on pushing the point. And Prabhupada finds this, yes, it is possible, but why would you want to? So it is possible that Putana received a special mercy at that time, and therefore was promoted to even a higher position than she might have had before. That is possible. But in the commentaries I read, this thing has not been addressed by any of the acharyas. But it is possible.
You were explaining about Krishna having the poison, but then also making the offering. And then almost like an ulterior motive. And then sometimes in bhakti you also see the offering is there, but there's also ulterior motives, or many times with devotees it's sometimes not so noticeable, sometimes very noticeable. How to maybe deal with this.
So we're speaking about how in Putana's example, milk and poison, there was an ulterior motive, and that we see this also reflected in the service of devotees, and maybe even yeah, but we see it just like Krishna saw it. The way Krishna saw it, yes, there's ulterior motive, but there is also there's also something positive. So we're taking it that it's not only ulterior motive, that there is also a bit of sincere service. And that's the essence that Krishna sees, and we're encouraging the sincere service, and we sort of overlook that ulterior motive a bit and just keep on engaging in the service, and gradually it washes out the ulterior motive. Prabhupada gives the example of the glass with some ink in it. Water, a glass with water with ink, it's spoiled. But keep on adding water, and eventually the milk will go, so the ink will go. So keep on adding water, keep on adding pure devotional service, and that ulterior motive will disappear. So we are a movement, we're trying to dedicate it to pure devotional service, and thus we're going to have a Guru Puja now, which is pure devotional service, which will in that way take out some of the ulterior motives that we have little by little, because we're adding pure devotional service in the glass, and all ulterior motives will eventually go out. Because otherwise we could try and deal with it with like a psychological process and becoming aware of our ulterior motives, and then like pull them out of the heart. But if you want to approach that, then like I mentioned today to someone, then you have to go to Ignatius de Loyola, who wrote a book called Spiritual Exercises. And there, whenever you become aware of any of your ulterior motives, you have to repent. You have to give them up and repent. But then when you still find that actually you still have a tendency to do it, then your repentance was not sincere. Then you have to start repenting that your repentance was not sincere, and stuff like this. It's like most of us, after on the third page, would say, this book, is too much for us to practice. So Bhakti Yoga is more simple. We just say, just add positive spiritual activity, and all no need for so much repentance and repenting about the lack of repentance, and then repent the lack of, anyway, and so on. So you don't need to get too mental about, my ulterior motives, and write I've written a book, it's My Ulterior Motives. Would be very popular. Yeah. But they'll go away.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Oh, Sitaram.
Krishna's Leela is eternal, and they are eternal personalities,
Mm.
and they are eternally attracted to Krishna.
Mm.
Therefore, if you look at Brihad Bhagavatamrita, Kaliya serpent, when Krishna is in Golok and he goes to Mathura to deal with Kamsa, he rides on Kaliya serpent, because Kaliya serpent had a desire to be like his sibling Garuda and also serve in that way. So Krishna allows him that propensity in Golok, and when Krishna is caught in the grips of Kaliya in Goloka Vrindavan, to the great astonishment of the Vrajavasis, and they all lie unconscious on the bank of the lake. Only the gopis remain conscious as they straddle into the water, and Krishna manifests a prakash form of millions of hands, and picks up millions of gopis and places all of them on the millions and billions of heads of Kaliya serpent, and has the Rasa Leela dance right there in Goloka on the head of Kaliya serpent. So these pastimes in material manifestations are not material. They're simply there to help attract us according to our propensity. But in the greater cosmos of billions of universes, they are more and more expansive, but we can't really appreciate them. But ultimately they are there simply to help us get closer and closer and closer.
Yes. True. But there's an interesting point though, which Srila Prabhupada points out, that when he speaks about Jai and Vijay, who are the eternal associates of the Lord, and who are cursed to take birth in this world as demons, and who are basically then assisting the Lord in his eternal leelas to bring the living beings back, to reclaim those who are becoming purified and come to purified goodness, as Bhagavatam says. Then Prabhupada explains that Jai and Vijay, although they were acting out the roles of demons, that they were real demons at the time. They were not actors. They had become real demons at the time. So we can also take it that Putana, although she was part of an eternal Leela, that in the material world her demoniac tendency was real in that sense. And that makes it a bit more accessible to me, because our demoniac tendencies are also real. But it also shows Krishna's mercy is also extending to us, conditioned souls, that in our case he may also overlook the poison of ulterior motive and take our mixed offerings of devotion. So in that way, I'm still amazed at Krishna's unlimited mercy.
There's also a sweet aspect to Jai and Vijay.
Yeah.
That far, far prior to the manifestation of the Leela, they were with the Lord, and as intimate associates of the Lord, they detected that Sri Narayan had a desire for a fight. He was spoiling in his transcendental way for a nice fight. But who was there to fight? You know, who could fight with him? So they also desired that he use them and create this pastime so that they could come here. So their love for him was such that they did not want to see any lack. Although there is no lack in him, they did not even like that there was a lack of an opponent.
Yeah.
So thus their desire manifested.
Yeah, that's when they were on the spiritual side. Yeah. Yeah. But then on the material side, once they were here, they became covered at the same time. So that's interesting. Yeah. Okay.
Yoga Maya, 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 she comes.
Mr. Element, you're the last one. In this element.
Who took Jai and Vijay's place?
Say it again.
Who took Jai and Vijay's place when they got first?
You have to discuss it separately with Sita Ram. He knows lots of details. I would have no idea. But no, so Bhagavatam is not like going into endless detail, but who knows? Maybe there's a Purana that mentions it. I never thought of the question, never researched it. Somebody. Okay, we'll end now. Thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada.
Jai.